Following on from the departure of Julian Leeser from the Shadow Cabinet, the Voice and the Liberal Party's position on the Voice is continuing to make headlines. I might say many of these headlines are inherently misleading, fundamentally misrepresenting the Liberal Party's position. Plenty of commentators who know nothing about the Liberal Party or how it works. So let's clear up some of the misinformation. Joining me now, Greg Sheridan, foreign editor at The Australian. Greg, welcome to the program. I want to start with Julian Leeser's move yesterday. I thought he handled it in a very decent way, as best he could. Of course, not a real surprise if you've followed him for a time. He's had a decade-long support of the Voice. His admission, though, that he's going to seek to change the wording. He doesn't think it'll happen, but he's going to seek to change it. But then, regardless, flaws and all, he says he will still support the Voice. He will vote for it. That's a surprise to me.
Well, Peter, I think Julian Leeser's position is frankly ridiculous, and I'm tremendously disappointed in him. I've got three big beefs with him. He is a very low-impact politician. I can't remember another issue on which he's made any impact whatsoever. The only thing he'll be remembered for is inflicting damage on his own party. Secondly, I think it was a mistake for Dutton to appoint him to these portfolios, but every single person I've ever spoken to in the Liberal Party expected that the Liberals would eventually reject the Voice. Now, Leeser is not a fool. He must have known that. So he embraced this portfolio, either always intending to resign or never having made a proper commitment to solidarity. And then thirdly, like so many Liberals, he displays no regard for the party. I mean, Julian Leeser would be nothing in Australian politics without the Liberal Party. But all of these Liberals, they have a Winston Churchill complex. They think their own personal story is central to the national destiny, and so they'll do anything to burnish their own personal story. And then finally, there is the sheer illogicality of his position. At the National Press Club, he outlined all the reasons why the government's proposal was disastrous and all the permanent damage it would do to the Constitution. And yet he said, no matter how bad it is, even if they make it worse, I'm still going to vote for it, come what may. Now, I think you add all that together and it is an incoherent, foolish, irresponsible position which just shows no regard for his colleagues, but which will, of course, make him a temporary hero in the left-wing media, and it may lead to a cascade of disasters which kills Dutton's leadership, and then the new leader, if he wants to show how woke he is, will appoint Julian to a very senior position. I just think these Liberals, I tell you, one area where Labor is vastly superior to the Liberals is most people in the Labor Party have some regard for the party. You don't see it much in the Liberal Party.
Just to amplify your point that he intended all the way along to support the Voice come, uphill, down dale. Have a listen to him last night on Chris Kenny.
I've wanted to campaign yes and vote yes on the Voice for a long time. I've got a long history of this. Back in 2014, I worked with Indigenous leaders and constitutional conservatives to find a way forward on constitutional recognition, and that was about putting the Voice in the Constitution.
So clearly he was always going to vote for it, very much supportive of the Voice. I argue, as you do, Dutton should never have put him in that portfolio and certainly should never have combined it with the AG's role, because I think you've got to have contestability between the AG's role around the Shadow Cabinet table and, of course, this Indigenous portfolio, which brings me to the issue today of Simon Birmingham. Now, Simon Birmingham is not just a coalition shadow minister. He's not just on the front bench. He's the leader of the opposition in the Senate. So the number three in the ranking of the Parliamentary Liberal Party. He's also in the leadership group, makes him very powerful. They meet every day in the leader's office. I think I've got a grab of what he has said this afternoon with my colleague Kieran Gilbert. Have a listen.
Will you campaign for a no vote?
Well, it's equally not my intention. My intention is to respect the Australian people.
At a personal level, will you vote yes in the ballot box when it comes to that referendum?
Well, every Australian's going to enjoy the normal secret ballot of this type of process.
Now, Greg, he went on to say he doesn't want to see an unsuccessful referendum put to the people. He would disclose how he voted. The fact that he can't say he's going to vote no means he's voting yes. He will not campaign for a no. Now, whatever you regard Leeser's move yesterday as, it certainly wasn't gutless. I think Birmingham has been gutless. If that is his view, it is incumbent upon him to resign, and I think Peta Credlin should sack him if he won't resign.
Well, Peter, honestly, I think if Birmingham resigns now, the whole party probably unravels. But I think one disastrous consequence of Leeser's action, and I don't have any respect for Leeser's action, I think Leeser should never have accepted this portfolio if that was his view, unless he got from Dutton an ironclad guarantee that the coalition would vote yes under any circumstances. Leeser has destroyed frontbench collegiality. And one consequence of Leeser's action is that all the other frontbenchers who would have been bound by normal frontbench solidarity now can do and say anything they like, can be utterly irresponsible, as Birmingham was there. So Birmingham is saying, no, I won't campaign for the position which the shadow cabinet collectively supports. Now, logically, Peter, your position is right. If that's the case, then he should resign. But I don't think he should resign, because I think the Liberal Party is just about on a suicide note. I mean, why did Alan Tudge cause them to have a by-election at the worst possible time? These are all self-inflicted disasters by the Liberal Party, but the consequence of the Leeser abandonment of frontbench solidarity and any consideration for the stability and future of the Liberal Party is that all the frontbenchers who, in conscience, don't like the position their shadow cabinet has taken, or would much rather be media heroes on the ABC than media villains, will now feel they can say anything they like and Dutton, in effect, can't sack them. So Birmingham there, as the leader of the Liberal Party in the Senate, is saying he won't publicly support a shadow cabinet position. It's unbelievable. It's grotesque. But that's what Leeser has done. So Leeser's career, basically of obscurity and anonymity, hardly any Australians would ever have heard of him. His one big achievement in politics is to destroy Liberal Party cabinet solidarity in a critical moment. And honestly, I just don't know what these Liberals think. Do they owe nothing to the party at all? So everybody who's ever served in a cabinet has had an occasion when they didn't agree with a cabinet decision, but you have to go out and argue for the cabinet decision anyway. Penny Wong, who's a very fine cabinet minister, she argued against gay marriage when that was the Labor Party cabinet position. And that was very tough for her, but she did that. She had a choice between indulging herself or sticking with cabinet solidarity. Leeser has taken action, which now means no one on the Liberal Party front bench will feel any responsibility to the normal disciplines of shadow cabinet solidarity. And as a result, the Liberal Party is a much less potent force than it was a week ago.
I'm out of time to get to international issues, but I don't think there's any more important issue facing our country than this voice, which we will vote on this year. And I think your comments there are incredibly important. Greg Sheridan, thank you.